What's up, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of the Tricology News Talk. I'm your host with the most, Mr. Tricology himself, and with me today and back with us again is our special guest for this week, Mr. Daniel Martin. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you been? Great to be back again.
You're always welcome here on the Tricology News Talk every time you want to come back on. So you've been, it's like you've been a part of the family.
Yeah, man. I think my first episode was like, what, episode 15, 20, something like that?
Yeah, so something like that, pretty much. But we got a lot of things to talk about this weekend, especially a lot of things that's been talking to town this week. So let's not waste time. Let's get right into it with the main topic for today, and that is the situation with Batgirl. And that was how I put it this way. It's been part of the budget cuts from for Whataburger Discovery. So let's read into the articles why it got canceled, the situation. So I'm gonna read the first article from the New York Post. This was discussing the test screening that one of this Brother Discovery did with Batgirl. And the New York Post says those tests were said to be so poorly received by moviegoers that the studio decided to cut its losses and run for the sake of the brand's future. It is a DC disaster. They think it was unspeakable. Batgirl is going to be a irredeemable, the sources says from the New York Post. So for those out there don't understand what a screen test is, so like when filmmakers are closer in the post-production stages, they take it to a test screening room to check out everything, whether it's good or not, to be on the market of going into being set to release. So that's what a screen test is. And let me go into another article explaining more. So this is from Collateral. Says, spoke to the people that saw Batgirl, and they said it was a huge disappointment. Also, the costumes look so cheap, especially on Michael Keaton's Batman costume. I figured Warner Brothers would dump it on HBO Match, but it looks like we'll never see it. So, speaking of the costumes, yesterday they put out a behind the scene poster where you see like one of the directors in the middle. You see Leslie Grace on one side as in our Batgirl costume, and on the other side you see Michael Keaton's Batman. But I can't really tell if that was actually him, because it kind of looked like somebody else. And then also when I looked at the costume, and it looks like really, they wouldn't lie, it was really cheap. I don't know if you saw that picture, that behind the scenes picture.
I saw the picture, but I really didn't pay attention to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I just saw like on Instagram. I'm like, oh, cool, whatever. Didn't really think much of it at the time.
Yeah, because I understand like most of the times that they use stand-ins for like certain people, because in the movie they were supposed to CGI, or well, not CGI, double down Michael Keys kind of like stage her age in the movie. So that's what they was trying to do. So like I kind of feel like that was somebody looked like a stand-in for Michael Keaton's Batman when you really look at it. And but yeah.
I found the picture. Yeah, I see.
You got it? Yeah. You got it?
It could. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So yeah. And then this one is for this next article is from Deadline, saying there has been much speculation on why Batgirl was canceled, having to do with being a bad movie. Our sources said that the film's test had tested once, and the results wasn't that bad. So I think they probably like screened it like one time, and then they like to tell, and they probably tell you that, oh, there's some things that need to be critiqued or some that to be fit. So they probably reshoot some stuff again, and then when they probably go back to test it again, and then they was like, we're not really feeling it. Like it was not really good.
Right. No, I mean, I see what you mean. I mean, I just have a lot of thoughts behind it. And like the thing with that is I could see both sides of the argument. If I'm being honest, I could see why they did cancel it, and I could see why they shouldn't cancel it. Not like it matters anymore. Because the main deal with this, which goes just beyond Batman and the DCEU, this part that I'm gonna say goes kind of beyond. It just goes more just for Warner Brothers as a whole. David Zaslav, he came in during the whole Warner Brothers Discovery merger, and he's seeing what's going on right now in not just DC but just Warner Bros in general. And I think I don't really think you could deny the fact that just Warner Bros as a company, they're not really focused on what they want to do. If you take out even like forget about the DCEU, take Harry Potter for example, the whole the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know why the hell they're doing the things they're doing. For example, like why is it so many years between the Fantastic Beasts movies? There's no real plot to the Fantastic Beasts movies, for example. So this part kind of just goes beyond DC. And David Zaslav, he's come in here, he's looking at what the hell is going on in Warner Bros. In general, and he's making, it's one of those things that's basically business. He's making business decisions that on one side of the spectrum, it is smart to do what he's doing. But on the other side of the spectrum, especially with Batgirl, there's clearly a lot of controversy because of how he's going about it. And I think that's the main issue at hand. Because Batgirl isn't the only thing he's canceled. Again, this goes more towards a whole Warner Brothers wide thing, but Batgirl is not the only thing he's canceled. He also canceled a Scooby-Doo's Christmas special, I believe, or a Halloween special, something like that. That was gonna be based off the recent animated Scooby-Doo movie, the Scoob. And there was all like I heard something about like a preschool show that also got canceled for like it's like I think like its third or fourth season got canceled or some shit like that. It's some like preschool show or whatever, for like toddlers that also got canceled. So he's not just canceling stuff in DC; he's canceling stuff just company wide. I think the issue arises with Batgirl specifically is the fact that it, like you said, it has its test screenings. It's gotten screened, and like you said, film screenings, those test screenings, they're used to gauge the amounts of interest an audience has for that particular movie. And like you said, it can be critiqued. Some things can be made better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's not like the other two examples I gave, Scoob and the daycare show, where those were still from what I've read, those are still in the middle of their production, whereas Batgirl was towards the end of its post production. I'm pretty sure again some things need to be fixed. There's always the possibility of reshoots. Don't get me wrong, but it was so close near completion that I think that's the real issue at hand. And on top of that, there's also the issue. Okay, even if it's not good enough for a theatrical release, why not just put it on HBO? Which, in my opinion, I think that's what they should do. If what they claim, the issue being test screenings, if that's what they claim is one of the bigger issues, just put it on HBO. Because either way, you're not gonna. It's one of those things that by not putting it on HBO, right now they're gonna lose money. Granted, it's 70 to $90 million if I'm not mistaken, but by putting it on HBO, even if it flops financially, so to speak, they still gain some of that money back. So it's not a complete loss, and that's the thing behind it. And like that's one of the main things. And even with the fact that they're saying, "Oh, it's not good enough," okay, neither was the first Suicide Squad, and that one made bank. So like, that's the other thing. I don't really think them saying, "Oh, it's not that good of a movie," is a good enough excuse when you have stuff like the first Suicide Squad, which I actually personally I really enjoyed a lot, but I know a lot of people didn't enjoy it. But it still made a lot. If anything, that was even though it was even though it was a critical bomb, it was a financial success. So even then, even using that excuse, I don't think I'll be honest, it's just not a good enough excuse given their track history. And really, the only proper argument you could give is the fact that David Zaslav came in here and he's trying to rework everything. But it's one of those things, you have this new guy versus the company's history. it's one of those things where it's two opposing forces, and basically which one's going to win out at the end, and it kind of just comes down to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Zaslav took the time with Variety to explain why they was not going to launch the movie, and he said, "We're not going to launch the movie until it's ready." Zaslav said during the Q&A portion of the call, when asked directly about Batgirl getting the ads, he said, "We're not going to launch a movie to make a quarter, and we are not going to put a movie out unless we believe in it." So I understand now where he's coming from, but at the same time, I still think it's Warner Brothers mistake of greenlighting a movie, and then you got all the cast and crew that put their hard work in a movie, and then just out of the blue just cancel it while in post production. So I think
Exactly. I mean,
yeah, that's on them.
it's like I said, maybe making. I know he doesn't want to go for that quick quarter, so to speak, but that's if you want to recuperate your money, that's kind of what you need to do. Um, and the other thing that he seems to be very concerned with, is that he wants the reputation of the DCEU specifically to rise. You know, he's saying what they've done so far. He's saying that's not working, and he's trying to make a 10-year plan with Alan Horn. For those who don't know who Alan Horn is, he's the guy who basically helped originate the MCU, alongside Kevin Feige, at the very early stages. So he's bringing in someone who's of great value. Don't get me wrong, but it's one of those things that, and when it comes to this film specifically, in my opinion, just not releasing the film, it it's kind of hurtful in a sense to its own brand, in a sense. And like you said, the cast crew, they work very hard on it, and I've heard a lot of arguments. Who cares about the cast and crew? They got paid. What's the deal with it? It's not the fact that they got paid. Like, yes, getting paid is good, but especially with like the cast and crew. I mean, like the director and some of the actors, this could have been a big movie for them, in my opinion. I mean, yes, you have Michael Keaton, Brandon Fraser, they're big names, J.K. Simmons, but Leslie Grace, she was going to be Batgirl. She would have been the first live action Batgirl. Well, no, I mean, you had Alicia Silverstone, but but she would have been the first, Batgirl of color, person of color, portraying Batgirl on the big screen or HBO Max. So that would have been, in my opinion, that would have been very influential. That would have meant something to someone out there. And that would have been a breakout role for her. Yes, she had In the Heights 1 or 2 years ago, and that was a good movie. That was a great movie. That was a successful movie, despite the fact that was during the pandemic. But I wouldn't say that's the movie that gave her a name within the industry, so to speak. It showed people who she is, but now she needs to break out. And now this would have been her breakout vehicle. Similarly, the directors. Let me get their names very fast. The directors Adil El Abari and Bilal Falah. They're both the directors. They've done work in the past. They did 2 episodes of Miss Marvel, and they directed Bad Boys 3. That's the last one that came out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bad Boys for Life. Yes, those are big projects for them, and those are the most notable stuff they've done. But I don't think, directing Bad Boys, and Miss Marvel, I don't think that compares to working on Batgirl, where it's a big superhero movie. It's a movie that could have, again, like I said, could have been inspiring to certain people because of who Batgirl is portrayed by. Again, superhero movie, and not to mention you have big stars: J.K. Simmons, Michael Keaton, Brendan Fraser. That's not to say that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence aren't big stars in their own rights, but they're just really big. Like Michael Keaton, the original Batman, save for Adam West. You have J.K. Simmons, who's always been big, and Brendan Fraser right now, who's going through his own renaissance, similar to how McConaughey had it a few years ago. So you have a bunch of these big talents, and then Leslie Grace coming into the fold. Even Ivory Aquino, who is another star up and coming, that this would have been a major vehicle for her. She was also set to be one of the big stars for this film. Just working with all that talent, and then not to have it, it just kind of wastes their talent. Because the other thing is, yes, a lot of people are saying from you know, people are saying, oh, they got negative test screenings, blah 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 blah. But if you really focus on what they're saying, they're not commenting on the acting. They're not commenting on the directing. They're commenting on the costumes and story, something that the actors and the director have nothing to do with. And it's one of those things. Like, again, I'm gonna use Suicide Squad, the original Suicide Squad, because everybody seems to just not like that movie at all. Nobody with Suicide Squad, nobody liked the story. But nobody liked the story. I thought that made no sense. That why would these group of criminals go to this, go fight some demonic witch? But nobody criticized the acting. You know, nobody criticized the directing. Everybody criticized the story, but not the acting and the directing. It's one of those things that even if this would have gotten negative reviews, nobody was gonna blame the directors. Nobody was gonna blame the actors, because they had nothing to do with it. They're working with what they got. That's the other issue I have with it. It's not that when it comes to the cast and crew, even with the negative reviews, it's not the fact that, you know, they got paid. So what, you know, what do they have to be upset about? It's no, they put their time and effort for it, for a project they believed in, and even if it got negative reviews, they themselves wouldn't have been criticized. If you want to take it outside of the DCEU, look at 50 Shades of Grey. And despite how terrible those movies were, nobody's criticizing Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan. If anything, they became bigger afterwards. Same thing with Twilight. You know, Robert Pattinson's a Batman right now. You know, Kristen Stewart got nominated for an Oscar earlier this year. So it's one of those things that even if they were in a bad movie, it still could have catapulted their career regardless, and they still would have been successful regardless. That's the thing. And this would have been a breakout vehicle for them at the end of the day, regardless of if it was negatively received or positively received.
Yeah, and I want to touch on it based on some of the stuff you said. So we've seen bad movies in the past. You know what I'm saying? So we seen that stuff in the past, because I would say this nowadays, and now in this era, like, some movies can do either good or bad in the theaters, or do good or bad in streaming. Because right now, in the age of streaming, a lot of people will rather watch those movies at home rather than watch that pay their hard money to watch it in theaters. Because, like, most of the people, you hear rumors that say, oh, like, let me see what the reviews that people are talking about this movie, and then if that movie is like really bad, I was like, nah, I'm not seeing this in theaters. I'd rather see this come out on streaming. So and another thing I want to mention, so, like, us filmmakers, because, like, and sometimes who are also moviegoers as well, we go to the movies, right? And we see the movies, right? And and the first time we watch it for the fan of it. And then, like, for the second time, we watch it and kind of critique the movies based on how it does on the story, the characters, and everything, because that's how we learn as filmmakers.
Right.
By the time we do our own stuff, because, like, and we write our own scripts and do our own stuff, because we can kind of get bullet points of what to do, and then, like, well, what not to do. So, and back to what I was saying. So if they did not really believe in this movie, then they shouldn't have greenlit it at all. But sometimes you gotta take the risk. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, like, even though you don't believe this movie to be put in theaters, just put it on HBO Match, because now you're gonna have people saying, like, oh, now we really want to see this movie and see how really bad it is. So
That's the other thing, yeah, because I'll be honest, when Batgirl was first announced, I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, I had no interest with it. You know, oh, Leslie Grace is gonna be in it. Cool. I know her from In the Heights. You know what I mean? Like, but I didn't really think much of it. I saw some of the stills, you know, the one with her in the suit, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, again, it's one of those movies I never really thought much of, and even now, it's like that. The only reason I really want to see it now is because of all the controversy behind it right now. I'll admit, if it would have come out normally, I would have been like, oh, yeah, I'll watch it eventually. I mean, if anything, that's the other thing. I think now, with all the controversy, they could release it, and again, if it bombs or not, that's a whole different question. That's a whole different matter. But I think now there's a lot more interest to see it now with all this controversy, which I think, if anything, that's something they could bank on and possibly even make money out of. So, like, again, that comment about not wanting to make a quarter, I understand it, but it's also kind of nonsensical, especially because you're in the industry to make a quarter. And like you said, If they didn't, and like I said, they shouldn't be greenlighting a project they don't believe in. But the only thing I'll say to that, and I'll counter with this, is maybe they did believe it initially, and then just through time, because of how things went out, they just stopped believing in it. I mean, that's what happens, from time, you're a filmmaker as well. That happens as well from time to time. You do believe in a project, and then slowly but surely, it doesn't happen. I mean, I just look at the first project we ever worked on together. That project at the end was never made, if you remember, and that's because the people involved stopped believing in it. So we all believed in it initially, and then just the way things worked out, and we all stopped believing, and that project's never been made. The only difference is that that project never made it past pre-production, whereas this one is basically near completion in post-production. And then that's the other thing. A lot of people saying that projects in Hollywood are always getting canceled, and yes, I agree with you. That is true. However, most of the projects that get canceled in Hollywood are in pre-production phases. They're in pre-production. There's very few movies that film and are in post-production and are then canceled. The only two other movies I can think of that got canceled during either filming or post-production are Gore, which was going to star Kevin Spacey, and the reason that one got canceled is because his whole sexual assault allegation controversy came to light. And then the other movie that I could think of is Rust, which got canceled because Alec Baldwin shot Helena Hutchinson, which that was of course accidental, but that still happened. And that's the other thing. Recently, the movies that do get canceled in this stage of production, it's usually because of controversy. Now, that's not to say that you need to be controversial to get canceled. I'm not saying that at all, but there does seem to be an element to that. And just to kind of bounce off from that thought, a lot of people are saying, okay, cancel The Flash. The problem with The Flash is that seems to be like a integral movie moving forward within the DCEU. Forget the whole Ezra Miller drama for a second. Even though that is where most of the controversy is coming from, that problem is that The Flash ideally is going to do Flashpoint and supposed to restart the whole DCEU. And that's really why you can't cancel it. Also, it's like a $200 million movie, so it's a lot more expensive. So it's another reason why you don't want to cancel that one. But even going with the whole Ezra Miller thing, there's other possibilities with that. You could just get another Flash, Grant Gustin, for example, recast that role. That one's a little bit trickier, again, like we discussed in the other episode I was in previously. But I think there's other ways to work around it. What I have heard, which is kind of interesting, and I think there is some credence to this, because I mean, of course, Michael Keaton is going to be a big part, or was going to be a big part in Batgirl. But did you see that last week, Ben Affleck did a scene with Jason Momoa for Aquaman 2. A lot of people are saying, oh, they're bringing back Batfleck, Ben Affleck's Batman, because originally that was going to be Michael Keaton Batman, but it doesn't make sense to have Michael Keaton Batman if Flashpoint, the Flash movie, hasn't happened yet. And they're saying, oh, that's the reason why they're canceling it, because of Michael Keaton. Now that Ben Affleck is in a better place, he wants to keep filming more as Batman specifically, they're going to try to revert back Michael Keaton Batman. I'm like, honestly, that I do think there is some credence to that. And then my one argument towards it, if that's the case, and if Michael Keaton is a big part of Batgirl as he seems to be or seems to have been, my argument would have been, okay, then release the Flash and just move Batgirl to after the Flash. Alternatively, because the multiverse exists within DCEU, just say the story takes place in a different DC world, Earth 56, for example, or Earth 259 or something, So I just feel like there's other avenues. I just feel like there's a lot of arguments for why it should be canceled, but I can always just counter it with this or that, whether it be because of the history or just comic book logic, so to speak.
Yeah, good. And I would say my excitement for Batgirl hasn't really gone up because we haven't seen a preview yet. The only time I get excited for a movie, if I see a trailer or a preview of the movie, then I know that it's going to be really good, or I'm really anxious to see that movie. So I don't.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So,
that's fair.
Yeah. So, I'm not. I would say I'm glad it's canceled, but just because of the rumors that I've been hearing about the DC's future, which we'll get into that in a moment. but the directors and of course Lacey Grace took the time out to voice their opinions on about it, which I understand where they're coming from as a filmmaker. Like, yeah, you done a job that you put your hard work in it, only to be canceled. Well, we understand from their opinions as filmmakers, but also at the time, we got to understand from the business side from Warner Brothers and DC or why it was canceled, and we just hoping that it will lead into a better future for DC films coming up. So but I would say this: Batgirl may not be the only movie that might get the budget cuts. So there's been a lot of speculation. Oh, like which upcoming DC project may get canceled as well, and who is safe from the budget cuts. But we'll let you guys know as soon as we get updates on that. But moving on into more DC news. Before we get into the Flash topic for today, I just got some breaking news based on Ezra Miller. Hold on, let me pull it up for a second. So I just got the notification on my phone. So Ezra Miller got in some trouble again. Oh my god. Let me just read this. This is from comic book reader. Says Ezra Miller reporting driving across the United States armed and wearing a bulletproof vest. And it says the Flash star Ezra Miller has been reportedly driving armed and wearing a bulletproof vest, paranoid that they was followed by the FBI and the KKK. And the KKK.
Oh, fuck. All right then.
Oh my God! Just what you need. Another story from Ezra Miller, and now the Flash is in more the deep trouble. But let me just read what the Variety says about the Flash, and it says Warner Brothers is still committed to release it theatrical in theaters. So they say the Flash movie starring Ezra Miller is still a go, despite the actor's numerous scandals this year. We have seen The Flash, we have seen Black Adam, and we have seen Shazam 2, says Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav during the company's Q2 earnings call on Thursday. We are very excited about them. We have seen them. We think they are terrific, and we think we can make them even better. Yeah, even better. Now, also with Ezra Miller, I'm also interested in what else they're gonna do with Aquaman 2. As you just explained that that Ben Affleck will be returning as his Batman in Aquaman 2. But but in the past we said Amber Heard's scenes got cut out. So we haven't got any previews yet, but because that movie doesn't come out till I think close to March. Obviously, it's getting very close soon. But we haven't heard no details yet. But we do know that Black Adam and Shazam 2 are going to be coming out this year. So if Warner Brothers Discovery are really good with Black Adam and Shazam 2, so we are good to go. So, and for me personally, I can't wait for Black Adam because they say that's going to be the changing course of future DC movies to come. And of course Shazam. Yeah, they're really looking forward to that one as well. They're coming around Christmas time. But I gotta ask you, man, do you really think they really should really release the Flash in theaters with everything that's going on with Ezra Miller? I mean, think about the press.
I think they kind of need to. That's one of those things they kind of need to. With Batgirl, that one's one that you could have released on HBO Max and just let it be. With the Flash, I almost feel like you kind of need to recoup its money back. In the question is Ezra Miller himself, and that's where those arguments are. If you're going to cancel Batgirl, cancel the Flash because the Flash is actually controversial given its start, whereas Batgirl wasn't at all. Aside from the fact that aside from a few negative test screenings and nobody really wanted it in the first place, it really wasn't controversial as opposed to again the Flash with its start. Again, that's I don't even know how they're gonna handle that because the issue is its main star. really, I mean, the only real thing I have to think of, and this is more in regards to promotion, but promoting the movie, they kind of have. I think they kind of need to focus on characters that aren't the Flash, like Michael Keaton Batman and Supergirl, portrayed by Sasha Kali, I believe is who it is. And but the thing is, it'll be weird to highlight those characters in trailers more than the Flash himself. So that's another catch-22 right there. I think if it does get released in theaters, it'll make bank. I'm not, at the end of the day, but it's not going to be without its controversy either way.
So I would say this, but based on what I've been hearing from the test screening results from the Flash, and it's looking really good. It's looking really good. So I think Warner Brothers is really copying the Flash. But I would say this: they can still put it in theaters, but when it comes to to the press release and then the red carpet screening and stuff, Ezra Miller cannot be there, because what if a press come out to it and say like, "What's it like choking a girl in the islands?" I'm like, no, he cannot be there. No,
He can't be there, but we don't know his mental state. We don't know if he'll, because one of those things they could say no, we don't want you there, and he still shows up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those things they could try to make him not go as much as they can, but at the end of the day, kind of just comes down to him, and if he decides to listen, then kind of just goes at that point. You know what I mean? I mean that's something they could control as much as they want, but at the end, it just comes down to Ezra Miller himself.
Yeah, but it's gonna be crazy. I'm like, I want to see though what's their actual plans. But and we only got one preview. I think that was like during the DC fandom when they showed the preview of that. So hopefully
Yeah.
we get another one sometime soon. So hopefully see more characters of the Flash. But that movie doesn't come out to June. So let's hope we'll see what they're gonna do. But you touched on earlier about the DC 10-year plan. So this is what Yahoo News had to say about this. So during the presentation, Zaslav repeatedly pointed to the company's DC superhero properties, including Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, as essential to the company's broader content strategy. To better marshal those properties, Zaslav cited that his previously reported goal of putting together a team with a 10-year plan focusing just on DC, similar to approach Disney has taken with Marvel Studios, as run by Kevin Feige. But he did not announce who would be the head team of that the creative team plan. But those brands that are known everywhere in the world, he said, of those DC characters, and as part of that, we're going to focus on quality over quantity. DC is something that we had think of and we could make better, and now we are focusing on that right now. So I would say this: if they're gonna do a 10-year plan like what Disney's doing with Marvel, I would say create a studio focused on DC, and then you can have that going forward with the DC extended universe. Now, for the ones outside of the DC extended universe, like Matt Reeves Batman and Tom Phillips Joker, you could still put it in the credits, say like, oh, associated with DC Entertainment, and you can still have the Warner Brothers logo there. But when you focus, but when you're doing the DC Standing Universe, all it just got to say DC Studios. That's it. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do.
I mean, right now they are starting to look for people to help them rebuild DCEU. Like I said, Alan Horn, he's joining that team, the whole Warner Bros. Discovery team for DC. And again, for those who don't know who he is, he's the one who restarted, not even restart. He's the one who started the MCU alongside Kevin Feige. I mean, Deadline, Variety, they're all reporting that stuff. So Alan Horn's already on board. We'll just see who else to get on board. But having someone like Alan Horn to plan out the next 10 years, I mean, that's huge. I'm not gonna lie, that's huge. And like you said for the other movies, the Todd Phillips Joker and Robert Pattinson Batman. I mean, I'll be honest, they could put it. They could do that, what you just said, or I mean, they could just put it the same thing in house with DC. Because at the end of the day, the multiverse is a thing. They could just say it's another universe. At the end of the day, granted, that means we'll have 3 different DC universes in a sense, but I mean, who cares? I mean, like it's one of those things. Like it's whatever. We we can kind of tell just by the style alone that Batman, the Robert Pattinson Batman, doesn't take place in the DCEU. We could tell that the Joker doesn't take place in the DCEU. So yeah, I mean, the only question there is like, oh, are Joker and Batman too similar at that point? Because they do have very similar styles. I mean, that's a whole different argument at that point. But I feel like that's something if they want to put it in a separate banner, go ahead. If not, go ahead. It's one of those things that's kind of that one. That's one of those things I'm kind of indifferent towards. Uh, if anything, it just reminds me of the whole Marvel thing with Netflix. With Agents of Shield and Daredevil, the original, Daredevil and Luke Cage, Defenders, Iron Fist, Punisher, Jessica Jones, and even some of their other stuff like Hellstorm and Cloak and Dagger and Legion. Like that's all still technically within the MCU, even though they're owned by like 50 different other companies. If anything, it just kind of reminds me of that. But even then, we all know that those, Netflix and Agents of Shield aside, we all know that some of those other contents, yes, they're part of the MCU, but they're not really associated with it, if that makes sense. It's going to be one of those, in my opinion, it's going to be very similar with Batman and Joker. Yes, it's associated with, it's part of the whole DCEU multiverse, if you want to get real technical with it, but like, they have nothing to do with the DCU. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things like, it could be part of the same umbrella, it cannot be. It doesn't really matter to me at that point. As long as we get the movies, I'm good.
Yeah, because they could develop 3 different brands. Like the DC studios focus on the DC extended universe. You got DC Entertainment that's focused outside of the DC extended universe, and then also you have the DC animated, which they really make good animated movies. That's the only thing that they're good at right now. Yeah, but I think that this is pretty good. But now, if you're gonna ask when this is gonna happen, I would say probably after Aquaman 2. And I think that's when, and next year 2023, that's when the whole entire DC extended universe might get rebooted. But we don't know yet. We're just hearing rumors. We just have to wait and see next year what's their actual plan and see what they're gonna do.
I'm honestly very curious with that whole Black Adam comment that's gonna it's like gonna reinventalize the whole DCU, because I don't see how it could reinventalize it, or renew it or whatever, when again that's the Flash's job. The Flash is literally Flashpoint. That's literally the job of Flashpoint, even in the comics, to essentially reset the universe. We even saw that in the TV show. Flashpoint was used to reset the universe. So I'm still kind of lost on that comics. The only thing I could maybe give it to is, with Black Adam, these are the type of movies we want to make from here on out. You know what I mean? Like maybe reinventalize it or renew the universe in that way. But I don't think story-wise you can renew it with Black Adams, because it makes no sense. That's the Flash's job. That's what Flashpoint is about.
Yeah, but we'll see how what the 10-year plan is going to go. But hopefully it turns out good in Warner Brothers and DC's favor. But we'll see how that goes from there. But
I mean, with that 10-year plan, the other question I have is, are we like, what movie does it start with, so to speak? Because again, they want to start. It seems like they want to start it off with Black Adam, but again, Flashpoint. But then even before that, so you're just gonna ignore every single movie that comes before it, which I mean they can do after Flashpoint happens. But it's one of those things like they're in a very tricky situation right now, um, where Flashpoint is their solution, and right now their solution ain't working out essentially. And again, we'll see what happens in the next couple of years, at least in the next 2 years, to see how this plan really goes out. Um, because that's the thing, like they're obviously gonna keep Jason Momoa as Aquaman. They're obviously gonna keep Ben Affleck as Batman. I don't know about Henry Cavill. I don't know about Gal Gadot, like those two are up in the air, for example. Um, right now, I kind of want to see their vision, and I don't think we're really going to see it for like another year at least. And I think that's another thing that kind of just for me frustrates me because that's the other thing. They always talk about having a vision, but we've never seen that vision, if that makes sense. And now we have people who are clearly gonna have a vision, and it's one of those things I'm kind of excited just to see what that vision is. But given all the circumstances we have right now, it's kind of hard to even see what that vision is.
Yeah, we'll see what that vision is. But let's move on to another vision, which is in the Matt Reeves Batman universe, and that is the Batman spin-off series with the Penguin. So I got a top here saying that Matt Reeves will not be directing the Penguin series, and this is from Comic Barrier saying Matt's up to his boogalox. I know you say that, but you know, hovering over the keyboard and just planning the story just because he is so marvelous, said Colin Fellow said in the interview with Entertainment Today. He is so obsessive about what he has done, but he is all over HBO Match, the Penguin series as well. I mean, he's not going to direct it, but he's all over the structure of the script and who's going to be directing them. And so it's going to be exciting. So Matt Reeves is still involved with the Penguin series, but he's not going to be directing the episodes. So he's going to be more focused on producing it and writing the scripts. So I'm very interested to see the Penguin series because I think Colin Farrell did a great job as the Penguin in the Matt Reeves Batman. So it's going to be very interesting how this series is going to be because I picture this series to be a mafia gangster type series.
Right?
Yeah, is that picture?
But I'm not really surprised, to be honest. That he's not directing. I'm not. If he would have directed them, cool. If not, like it's one thing I'm not really surprised. Have they said how many episodes the first season or the series, I guess, is gonna be, or no?
Yeah, but hopefully we get some more or get some more details on it. And by the next time when that DC fandom comes around, hopefully we get more details on the series. But
Right.
yeah,
But they haven't announced how many episodes it's gonna be in the season, right? Or no? They haven't announced
not
that yet.
not yet.
Uh,
It's still in the development and the pre-production process right now.
right. I mean, like again, I'm not really surprised. He's not gonna direct it. If anything, maybe one or two episodes that would have been nice. But like, I'm not really surprised. Yeah, because he also needs to focus on the sequel, anyways, and he probably has a number of other projects even besides Batman. It's one of those things like if he's at least there as a producer or a screenwriter at the very least, that makes sense, and that's kind of like what I expected. But to be honest, I didn't expect him to be the director for the episodes. Maybe one or two, but that's about it.
Yeah, because I think his main focus on directing is on the upcoming Batman 2 in coming out in 2024. So that's going to be his main focus when it comes to directing. That's going to be.
Right.
And speaking of Israel Miller's Flash, let's talk about Graham Gustin's Flash. As they announced that the Flash is going to be canceled after season 9. So season 9 will be their final season of the Flash on the CW. So this is what Comic Book Reader had to say about this story. And the Flash long run on the CW is finally coming to an end. According to a Hollywood Reporter, the CW has announced that the Flash season 9 will be the show's last. The season will be somewhat abruptive and only run for 13 episodes when it returns in 2023. Speaking about the cancellation, showrunner Eric Wallace said, 9 seasons, 9 years of saving Central City, while taking audiences on a emotional journey full of heart, humor, and spectacle. Now Barry Allen has reached the starting gate of his last race. Now, I stopped watching Well, I continue watching The Flash because The Flash is really good. But all honesty, the rest of the CWDC shows I stopped watching after when Arrow died, Oliver Queen died in the when they had one of the crossover episodes.
Right, right. Did he become Spectre or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched the first 3 seasons of The Flash, and then I dropped off. I watched the first 4, 5 episodes of Arrow, and then I dropped off. And I saw a couple episodes of Supergirl, and that's about it. I saw a couple episodes of Legends of Tomorrow. So, like, I'll be honest, I'm not really that invested in the whole Flaro universe about it. So I'm like, okay, it's getting canceled. Cool. And especially if they're gonna continue some of the other shows like Black Lightning, Superman and Lois. Is Legends still around? I'm actually not sure. Like, but like they're still gonna continue some of the other shows anyways. So like, it's like okay, cool, whatever. And that again, he can always just appear in one of those other shows, or because of Flashpoint, the DCEU. Especially because they already had that scene in the Flash show, with Ezra Miller's Barry Allen, when Grant Gustin was going through his own Flashpoint. He could always be introducing the DCU by saying that, oh, those two Flashpoints were happening at the same time. Ezra Miller Flashpoint and Grant Gustin Flashpoint, and they happened to meet at that moment, and then they went their separate ways. So like, for me, it's like, okay, cool. I haven't really kept up with the show, so I'm like, okay, cool, that's happening. Dope.
Yep, but a lot of the CW shows that got canceled, Batwoman got canceled, and also they was gonna do a Gotham Night, but that one was terrible. That got canceled. That was part of the budget cuts. But a lot of the CW shows gonna get budget cuts, and the only DC show that's still like going forward is the ones you see on HBO Match, which is Peacemaker, Harley Quinn, the Titan show, Doom Patrol, and I think the recent the Sandman show on Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, it just came out, the Sandman show. I need to watch that one, to be honest.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about that show. I heard a lot of good things.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. And still going on with DC, and here's a question from IndieWire saying, is Black Adam in trouble with Dwayne the Rock Johnson's Super Pets underperformance in the box office? So
No, the fuck.
But this is what IndieWire has to say. By comparison, that's less than a quarter of the opening gross for Minions: The Rise of Gru, another animated Universal title. Last spring's The Bad Guys cost 90 million less and opened to 1 million more. So here's the thing. Not that it was a bad movie. But DC Leads of Super Pets was really good. But the reason it did enough good in the box office because with the whole pandemic thing what was going on, because you expected to see a lot of family audiences to come see this movie, but it's rarely that a lot of family members go out to movie theaters anymore, because ever since the whole pandemic started, you barely see a lot of people go out for the movies. I think I remember I can't even remember what last family movie did good in the box office right now. The only thing I can think
Encanto?
um
You can't deny that shit went bank. Not to mention that's Disney. Disney doesn't fail.
Oh yeah, that was the deal. Because I'm thinking, was it I don't think it was a Pixar movie, but I don't think it was a Pixar movie. Yeah,
I mean, Pixar's still Disney.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, it's just a different studio.
Yeah, because yeah, I think it was Encanto, but I'm thinking the Minions Rise of Gru right now. But I'm thinking
Minions Rise of Gru is also successful right now. Anyways, how I don't see why people are saying that. Oh, DC Super Pets, whatever. Oh, it's doing bad, so that's gonna affect Black Adam. I think that's Black Adam. Like that's a really stupid argument. Like no, like those are two separate movies. Those are made for two different audiences. The only thing they have in common is The Rock and the fact that it features DC characters, but even after then, it's like animated movies compared to live action movies don't usually make that much money comparatively speaking. Not to mention this is a movie made more geared towards kids, specifically children. As opposed to Black Adam, which is made more for like adult audiences or like teenagers. It's and yes, kids as well, but it's not as directly geared towards kids as Super Pets is. I just feel like that's a really dumb argument in my opinion.
Yeah, but I kind of understand though when I look at the box office because like I mentioned before, like ever since the pandemic started, a lot of like family members and kids go out to movies a lot, but when they do, they're going to see it, but most of the time they just wait until it come out on streaming or premium for rental on the for on demand.
Right.
And then lastly, talking about Warner Brothers right now is the report saying that HBO Max is to cut staff as they emerge with HBO. Oh my God. Um, let me just read what the rap had to say about it. Now, the move will result into gutting of HBO Max, significant layoff from its executive and staff to minimize readjust with HBO, and a combination of the streaming service with Discovery Plus, with a hard line separated between the script and unscripted content operations. Zaslav and his surrogates has been quietly telegraphing to top showrunners and talent that HBO content chief Cassie Boys will take more senior role as the two streaming platforms are combined. We told Blood that the hitmaker would have HBO's 140 Emmy nominations and is set to launch the Game of Thrones prequel House of Dragons on August 21st. Will certainly take charge of all scripted content. HBO is very safe. If this was Game of Thrones, Cassie Bush won. A Hollywood agent with a knowledge of the plan set. Now, when HBO Max started, it gave you a choice to if you want to keep your original HBO Now or HBO account, you still can. But if you wanted more content on your thing, you can have that choice to move to HBO Max. But my concern is when it comes that time to emerge HBO Max and Discovery Plus, will the original HBO Go and HBO Max will still be there? We don't know. So that's a question there that's got to be answered moving forward with Warner Brothers Discovery.
That's one that's going to be interesting to see because the other thing is they're also cutting content from HBO as it is now. From like, and I don't just mean Batgirl and this could be doing like content that's already on HBO, but they're taking it down. And that's what I mean. So it's very interesting to see. I know I saw a list. It was like they've already taken down 10 titles. The only one I remembered, like the only one I remembered because it's the only one I actually knew was American Pickle, which is this movie with Seth Rogen from like 2 years ago. Basically, very long story short, that movie it's about this. I believe he's Amish or like Mormon or something like that. He somehow manages to like travel to the future because he kind of got locked in like a pickle or some shit like that, or if I remember correctly. And it's a comedy movie. And he appears in modern day, and he finds one of his descendants, also played by Seth Rogen. And I remember it was a funny movie, but they took that down from HBO, and I know they took down like several other titles. None of them that I can remember because I didn't know them. Again, American Pickle is the only one I actually remembered because I knew and I watched. But that's the other thing. We are definitely going to see some cuts. Especially now that they're going to be merging HBO with HBO Max and then whatever platform Discovery has, and just reworking that. So again, there's a lot to like I said, I know I said this specifically about the DCEU, but just in general, even with Warner Bros., it's very interesting to see what's going to happen within the next couple of years, within at least the next 1 to 2 years moving forward, given everything that they're doing. And again, I understand that a lot of it has to do with budgetary reasons, and again, a lot of it does make sense, but a lot of there's arguments to be had as to why they shouldn't do what they're doing. Even outside of the whole Batgirl controversy. But at the end of the day, that's money talks, that's business, whatever phrase you want to use, that's how it is. That's the industry for you.
Yeah, and then people don't realize that for those who has like cable or has like YouTube TV or Hulu TV, Sling, for Fubu TV, like you still gonna get HBO, you still gonna get the HBO channel there, and you can still DVR your shows like Game of Thrones, House of Dragons, and like those type of shows. You're still gonna get that regardless. So I don't understand the point of what they're trying to make, because like if you still have like cable or like YouTube TV on your TV to watch like other like channels and all that stuff. So HBO is still going to be there, and you can still get a chance to DVR that stuff while you're not home. So
Right. But it goes back to that thing I just said. Yes, they're reworking their system, but like I said, they're also taking down content. Actually, let me search this up very fast. American Pickle taken down. Because again, they're taking down content, so it's one of those things that they could watch it, and again, you more or less know which titles are going to stay. But again, if someone wants to watch American Pickle, they can't do that anymore because it's no longer on HBO. Let me just see what other titles got removed. Charm City Kings, Locked Down. Those are some of the other titles I'm seeing here that got removed from HBO Max. Let's see what else. Yeah, Charm City, The Witches remake. For example, Moonshot. Um, Again, so like it's one of those things. It's like you're seeing stuff like this too. Like, oh, yes, we may have YouTube. Yes, we may have Roku or whatever other applications. But like again, here's the thing. I don't think the cuts are going to be that big anyways. But given what's going on now, there is some fear regardless. I think that's the issue. Um, I think if anything's being blown a bit out of proportion, it's not like they're going to start taking down everything off of HBO, but they are going to start taking down stuff from HBO. It's just not going to be as monumental, as big as some sources are claiming it out to be. I think it's going to be it's very small. But even then, I don't really see a reason why they should be taking it down to begin with, which is a whole other discussion. Which the argument could be, oh, we don't want to go for quarters. Well, you kind of need to go for quarters, especially given the fact that these movies are already out to begin with.
yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned it when they took down Charm City Kings, American Pickle, like those type of movies, because Whataburger Discovery are now focusing on their movies more theatrically, and like the movies that's like a match original, like you're not gonna see those like anymore, because like they focusing their movies more going theatrical, because I did read a story on that. So they're gonna keep like the like stuff like a series or like a special stuff like that. They're gonna keep that on HBO Match and other like streaming platforms. But as far as like movies and stuff, I think they're gonna focus that on those more theatrical, less than streaming.
And that's good. I'm not blaming them for that. That's good. My main question is, what does that have to do with needing to take stuff down from the platform? That's my question with it. What's the point of? Not to mention, it's already been up there for at least a year, and so for a couple of years already for some of these. So what's the point of taking it down? Even if not many people are watching it, so what? You still gain some money out of it some way somehow. So it's like that's the one thing. That's the one thing I don't understand, because especially because they've already been out for so long. It's like what's the point of taking them down? You know what I mean?
I know,
Like
cause yeah,
if anything, people are now just gonna go on some random websites and watch those movies there. If anything, when they could instead watch it on HBO, and who knows, after let's say American Pickle is done, they could go off and watch another movie and then another movie or another series or whatever. Again, it's good that they're gonna focus more on their theatrical releases. I think they should do that. I just don't see how that also fits in with them taking down stuff from HBO. I don't see how that's a. It's one of those things. Even like if it's, I don't see what the problem is there, unless the content is like offensive or something like, or it's like but no, those stuff is stuff that isn't offensive. It's movies that nobody really paid much attention to, and like if they don't pay, if people like, what's the point of it, in my opinion? And, maybe someone, maybe a couple hundred people watch it once a day, and that's about it. As opposed to some of your other movies that get like maybe 5,000 watches a day. It's still getting watches. Like, that's the one thing I don't understand why they're taking down. That's really the only one I don't understand. Because again, like with Batgirl being canceled, I understand some of the aspects of it. I completely get that one. This one, I really don't. It makes really no sense to me because, like, what's the point? It's been up there. They're still making some bank out of it. They're all for the most part at least average success financially and critically. At the very they're average. What's the point of taking that? They're not affecting anybody. It's like whatever. But yeah, they should focus more on their theatrical releases. At the end of the day, though, that is good.
Yeah, I see. I understand where you're coming from there because it's not just HBO Max, but it's other like streaming platforms like Netflix and like Peacock, because like those streaming platforms has like one of those how you say, like Tyler's, where you see like, oh, this is your last chance to watch these movies, and like they might be going to rain soon, because like
Right.
this like the first time this happened, because like you see like movies like they're like for like a couple of months, and then tell like, oh, you have like, oh, the last 14 days or the last 7 days to watch this movie before it like disappears. Like it's not like they disappear forever, and they might come back in the
That's
next
true
couple.
though.
Yeah,
That's true though. But those examples that you're giving is content that's not made by Netflix. Like those examples you're giving, yes, there are movies on the platform that do go away after a certain amount of time, but it's never the Netflix original movies. Like these are American Pickle, is HBO, Warner Bros. All these are Warner Bros. Slash, or all Warner Bros. Property. If it was, let's say, I'm just to throw out an example. Let's say, okay, I don't know why this is the first example that comes up to mind, but let's say for whatever reason on HBO you have Morbius. Morbius, we know, is a product of Sony, not a product of Warner Brothers. So in that case, you can have a contract that says, yes, HBO Max will show Morbius on the platform for the next year, and then at come December, December 25th, oh, you have 5 days left to watch Morbius on HBO Max. If not, it's going to be gone. And that but again, in that case, Morbius is a Sony property, not an HBO Warner Brothers property, as opposed to these where they are Warner Bros. Properties. That's the thing. If it was properties from another company, I'd understand why they're leaving. But no, these are Warner Bros. Properties. That's the part that I don't understand. So like, I understand your example, but it doesn't apply. It does not apply to the situation, because the examples you're giving are not from Netflix original stuff. And now, if you were to show me a Netflix original movie that did leave for whatever reason, then I could see a more interesting discussion at that point. But it's one of the things. These aren't apples to apples. These are apples to oranges. You can't compare both situations, because both situations are just different circumstances.
yeah, and hopefully we can see those movies come back. We don't know when, but I think like I said before, I think Whataburger Discovery is more focused on trying to get the HBO Match and Discovery Plus a merger. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the exact plan is, but I think that they're going to come back. We just don't know when.
Mm-hmm.
And so moving on from DC and Warner Brothers and stuff, let's get into other more news. So our next topic here is saying July is the first month to pass 1 billion since the pandemic. So this is what Yahoo has to say. The box office still isn't totally back to normal levels since before the pandemic. With the exception of 2014, every July since 2003 has seen the box office top 1 billion and monthly total it sees 1.2 billion each year between 2017 and 2019. But the sets of the past 3 months show that within the right film, audiences are more than ready to return to theaters, as July should finish with a monthly total of 1 billion after this weekend. So for this month of July, we had the Minions of Rise of Ghoul. We had Thor: Love and Thunder. We had Nope. We had DC League of Super Pets, and let's see what else came in July. I know I mentioned a lot. What else came in July? Let me go back to the schedule. Let me go back to the schedule. Let's see, July. The Gray Man. Even though it was a limited release of to Netflix, at least it was still shown at theaters. Where the Crowd That Sings and the Paws of Fury, the Legend of Hank. So those are pretty much the movies that came out in July, and so that pretty shows like if you have a good amount of good movies that come out in a certain month, then a lot of people gonna be wanting to go back to the theaters.
Right. I mean, those are just the big movies. Those are just the bigger movies. Um, I mean, it's good to see that we're finally going up. In that curve, in that financial curve, is that even the right word? But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, we'll probably see more stories like this where yes, this month is now more successful because and now that as we're slowly getting out of the pandemic, hopefully, who the fuck knows? No, we do have monkeypox and whatever the fuck that is, and I
oh
mean,
my.
Jesus Christ, knocking on wood for that one. But we don't need another fucking pandemic. But yeah, I think as long as everything's more or less stable as it is now, um, I think we'll start seeing more stories like that where yeah, everything's we're making good money again in August and September and October, November, December. Now we'll see more, again, those finances coming back in.
Yeah, especially like for local theaters, and especially they're getting more business money they're coming in, especially for this month. But we'll see how the next couple of months goes like for the rest of the year.
Right.
And moving on to our next topic. So Sylvester Stallone brutally attacked the Drago movie plans on social media. So this is what the Hollywood Reporter has to say about it. Another heartbreaker. Just found this out. Once again, pathetic 94-year-old producer and his selfless children are once again picking on what's left off the bones on another wonderful character. Stallone wrote about Drago. Seriously, what do you weasels look in the mirror? The star continued. I am so sorry to the fans. I apologize to the fans. I never wanted Rocky to be exploited for this greed. Hashtag no shame. Hashtag sad day. Hashtag parasites. He also referred Dolph Lingo in a post by writing, Dolph, why? Not a phone call? So I previously announced one of my previous episodes is that that MGM and I think it was either MGM or Amazon wants total rights for the Rocky franchise, and but Sylvester Stallone says he wants either 50% or full rights to Rocky. So I kind of explained that one of my previous episodes. So I state my opinion saying that that Sylvester Stallone should get at least 50% rights to the Rocky franchise.
I'm surprised he doesn't have the rights, given the fact that he wrote the original script. All right then. That's really all I have to say. Like, he doesn't agree with a new movie being made. he's been in the industry long enough. That's how it works. He could disagree with it all he wants, but it's probably going to be made one way or another. So like, if anything, I'm just more surprised that he doesn't already have the rights.
Yeah, but I'm not really much focused on Drago yet because I want to see because I'm more focused on Creed and Michael B. Jordan because I'm still waiting for Creed 3, which was supposed to be coming out on this Thanksgiving, but it got delayed to March, which is fine. But we're more focused on the Creed series because the Michael B. Jordan is the star now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a while till we get used to Drago because well actually his son. I think when they do the movie, it's gonna be more focused on his son, Drago's kid. But right now the focus is on Creed, and we're waiting on Creed 3 right now. And so our next topic. So this focus on Star Wars and this asking why is it launching 3 episodes in the head of its premiere. So this is what a story has mentioned. So it says the first season of Andor will cover approximately a year in Cassidy's life as a operative for the rebellion itself. After 5 years before the events of Rogue One, across 12 episodes, its second, however, will use the same amount of episodes to cover 4 years, time jumping ahead of every 3 episodes. The scale of the show is so huge, Gilroy told Empire magazine in a new interview conducting at the Star Wars Celebration last month. Directors work in blocks of 3 episodes, so we did 4 blocks in season 1 of 3 episodes each. We looked and said, wow, this is really interesting if we see comeback and use each block to represent a year. So this is going to be very interesting. Now, when they did the premiere for Obi-Wan, they did two premiere episodes, and now Andor is going to do 3 premiere episodes. So I hope those 3 premiere episodes are and the entire season itself is really good. So I'm hoping to this is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping to see how Cassidy's got K2SO as his as his droid, as you guys remember K2SO from Rogue One, and he was the actual droid for the dark side, but Cassidy managed to get K2's got him rebooted to join the rebel side. So and and again the show looks very interesting. I saw the trailer for the second trailer for it. It looks very promising. It looks like it's going to be a good series. But what are your thoughts on Andor right now?
I have no thoughts on it. I don't really follow Star Wars, if I'm being honest. So like, cool. That's the thing. For any Star Wars fans, congratulations. I don't watch Star Wars, so I don't have any thoughts on it.
Okay, and our next topic is one you mentioned before, and this follows more actors could get sued if their scandals hurts a movie. And you touched on Kevin Spacey earlier, and this is what a story I'm going to read from here from Variety. It says MRC are argued that Kevin Spacey owes them millions in lost profits because his misconduct forced them to remove him from the 6th season of the show, and they had to trim the season from 13 episodes to 8, ruling in the producer's favor. The acrobat found that Kevin Spacey's behavior constitute a material breach of his agreements as an actor and executive producing agreements. Now, as we talk about Kevin Spacey, Israel Miller and like all these type of people who get into a lot of troubles and scandal and stuff. When you sign to a specific movie or series and you know that type of project is doing really good and they expect you to stay with them. But if you do some crazy stuff or like some get into trouble or like some scandal stuff, you may get kicked out. It's not only is it's hurting your career, but it's hurting the project itself.
Right. I mean, with Kevin Spacey specifically, I mean, the guy's been canceled for the past what 3, 4 years at this point, 2, 3, 4 years. So like for him, another lawsuit. That's basically his life at this point. Like, that being said, it is interesting to see how this will be used moving forward. When you have other controversial figures, Ezra Miller being the prime example, Amber Heard still doing her shit. So we'll see how that moves down the future. But like the thing with that, but if they're already getting sued, odds are they're not already in. The people, audiences don't really like that individual anymore, anyways. So it's kind of like a not surprising thing if it happens.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, why are you gonna go do some crazy stuff and then you got a project on hand that's gonna make you money and you want to do some wow, it's just crazy. But let's just move from that crazy nonsense. So Bob Odenkirk, Nobody 2 is officially in development. So this is what David Ledger had to say about this. So, I think everyone's really excited about it. Everyone involved is like full steam ahead. We are in the script process, and I think we had so much fun making that. Kelly and I had a blast. The actors had a blast. The studio loved the results, and it's happened. I mean, I think it's happening as fast as we can make it happen. We asked if he thinks it will actually happen. Yes, I do. I do. Because there are certain journeys that you go on, and they're just undeniable experiences for people involved. And that was one of them. I think all of us want to go back and play in that universe. And we want to see Bob bring back that character to life again. So when I saw Nobody for the first time, I thought like John Wick, but if John Wick is a family man. That's why first saw this movie, and like this movie was like this was really good, and I was like, I hope that it was going to get another sequel, and so with this news, we are going to get a sequel in development. So and I just can't wait for Nobody 2 to come out very very soon.
Nobody 2.
Yeah,
Oh, I forgot. I forgot about that movie. Goddamn.
yeah,
That took me a second. Um, I'll be honest. I never saw the first one. I heard a lot of good stuff about the first Nobody. I'll probably watch it eventually. Like it's one of those movies I do want to watch. I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah. I mean, if it gets a sequel, dope. Even more of a reason for me to watch the first one. But yeah, I did hear a lot of comparisons to John Wick when it first came out. Yeah.
yeah. That's why I say and Bob Odenkirk's character. That's why I say like he's John Wick, but if John Wick is a family man.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, we can't wait to see the Nobody 2. Hopefully we get some more news on that. But let's get into some more Marvel news. And the first thing we're going to touch on is report says that John Krasinski has signed a multi-film deal for Richard Reeves. And this is what Forbes had to say about this story. The only thing Mount means here is that everyone showed up for this role is going to have some sort of contract in place. And Krasinski's wasn't even done yet. A contract does not mean a multi-year or multi-film contract and easily just be for this specific scene. Kevin Feige came out and said he specifically got Krasinski for a cameo to fulfill fans' casting dreams, implying that may have been all it was. This quote absolutely does not confirm Krasinski is on board for more, not at all. So they're saying he signed to multiple film deals, but when they announced the Fantastic Four, it's going to be part of Phase 6 of the MCU. But we never know. We still don't know who's going to be the who's going to be casted as the entire Fantastic Four, including the Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Thing, and Firestorm. So we still don't know who's going to be cast entirely, but hopefully we get some more news during the D23 Expo that's coming up in September. So yeah, they say it's gonna they say it's a cameo for John Krasinski, but hopefully he's officially becomes Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, in my opinion, Multiverse of Madness kind of butchered the character. And I don't mean literally, like, killed him off. I just don't. I have a lot of issues with Multiverse of Madness to begin with on a story perspective, and that whole cameo bonanza was I have a major gripe with it. Not because they had cameos, just because the way they went about it. So it's one of those things that, and I'm kind of surprised that they'll consider bringing him back, given the fact that the reception towards John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic was lukewarm at best. Like, some people thought it was cool, but like they didn't like what they did with the character in the movie. And the argument is, okay, the argument's always like, that's that version of the character from that universe. What about the MCU, like the main timeline universe? I'm like, okay, cool, but like you still have the actor, and a lot of the issues people have with John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic was just that he wasn't believable as a Mr. Fantastic, despite the fan castings. We'll see what happens. We have 3-4 years till Fantastic Four even comes out, anyways. If they make him be Mr. Fantastic again, cool. If not, I wouldn't really be upset. I'll be like, okay, cool. I'm not really surprised. So yeah.
Yeah, but hopefully we get some more news during D23 Expo. And speaking of D23 Expo, hopefully we get some more news on Ryan Reynolds when it comes to Deadpool 3. So this is what Screen Rant had to say about this report. And now it appears that Ryan Reynolds has started training for Deadpool 3. His longtime trainer, Don Zandadine, I don't know how you pronounce it, but who worked with Ryan Reynolds in preparation for the prior two Deadpool movies, posted on social media that they are back together in training. His Instagram caption teased that indeed for Deadpool 3, or at least a Deadpool MCU appearance, as it reads, "Red swords." And so it begins. The red circle and cross swords emojis are clear teas for tears for Deadpool. So here's what I'm thinking. So when they announced Phase 6 during Comic-Con, all we got was just Fantastic Four and the two Avengers movies. Hopefully during D23 Expo, not only we get an announcement from Deadpool and an announcement for the X-Men coming up. So I think it's just going to be announced as mutants.
Right. That makes sense.
And then moving on. So Eternals 2, directed by Chloe Zhao, confirms by Patrick Altman, and this is what Screen Rant has reported. Early on Wednesday, the Today Show shared a short clip from the interview with Oswald. The conversation was largely taken up by Oswald, explaining the end credits scene for the Eternals and the character he played. But he takes a surprising turn at the end. He says they have announced that there's going to be a Eternal sequel, and Chloe's that is going to be directing it. So if there is going to be Eternals 2, I say then that's going to be one of the movies for Phase 6.
That makes sense. It kind of, yeah, that makes sense. It would make sense to put it there. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And then lastly for today, John Boyette says he's not interested in doing Marvel movies. And this is what he had to say about it. That's not in the vision for me now. I want to do natural things. I want to donate my services to original indie films that comes with new, fresh ideas because I know it's real hard to top Iron Man in that universe. So I kind of understand where he comes from here. He wants to focus on more original movies. So, but maybe in the next couple years he might want to do a franchise movie, but and I would say yeah, stick with the originals. So that'll be a good idea for a movie forward.
I mean, he's already been part of a franchise, Star Wars. So like, and we all know how he got treated during, while being in Star Wars. I think he's just kind of tired of that whole system, and not to mention, Marvel is owned by Disney, and Disney owns Star Wars, so he already knows some of the people who are behind it. It's I think that it is better for him to go the indie route, um, for the moment to properly show off his talents because he is a very talented actor at the end of the day. So I think that is the best route. And if he at some point in the future wants to do a Marvel movie or a DC movie, then go ahead. But I think for the time being, it's best that he just does his own stuff.
Yeah, I would say I would say just stick to your own stuff and then until you like exactly ready to join another franchise, then yeah, your agent will be calling you up. So
Mm-hmm.
that's all I have to say about that. But that's all the news that we have for you guys today. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell when new videos or episodes are uploaded. And be sure to comment down below and let us know your thoughts on everything that we discussed today. And also, if you're listening on Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts, don't forget to follow me there. And also go into the YouTube link in the description below and go post your comments there as well. So and before we wrap up, there's anything Daniel that you want to share to the people what you got going on?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just again, thank you for having me, for having this long discussion. I always enjoy it, man. Uh, excuse me. As for that, thank you guys for having me as always, as usual. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Daniel Mart 1234. Daniel.mart.1234. That's my personal Instagram. If you guys want to follow my production account, that's DMart Productions. DMart underscore Productions. And I've recently created a YouTube channel for my production company. Go definitely follow it there, subscribe to it. Really need the help so I could get that boost in numbers. Trico, I'll send you the link to it so you could put it down in the description below for it. And I mean, yeah, again, just thank you for having me. Thank you for having this discussion. It's very informative as always, man. And yeah, that's basically it for now. Yeah, that's basically it for now. This is me, I guess, signing off for the time being. Yeah.
All right. And without further than that, he is Daniel and I'm Trico, and we're signing off and we'll see y'all soon. Peace.
Peace out.